as the, that the bill has been signed, kind of the logistics of rolling it out. There's a work group that's working on kind of best practices to how to actually run your blood program, should you decide to have one.
And it was, the way anybody who's done it so far gone through, such a laborious process. Yes. They say this new process is easier. We'll see.
But it's New York State government's version of easier.
Yeah, we'll see what it is, because it was amazing what you had to go through. I mean, LifeNet went through all of it. It was like crazy.
Yeah, apparently the whole process is going to move out of Wadsworth now with this new regulation, which may help that they understand it's different than a hospital blood bank.
Yeah, take away some of the cogwheel stuff they have in there.
Is that going to change the ATS part of it, or is that still going to stay the same on transports?
Unclear. I think it will change it, but they haven't. So now that she signed the bill, they have to actually write the regulations and finalize those. So,
and put in criteria.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Indications.
Because what if the transporting agency uses their own blood? Now it's not the hospital's blood.
Right. So that's
under protocol.
Yep. So that's all the regulations they have to write, and then part of it on the collaborative discussion is, we want to make sure that whoever's doing it, you're doing it under a regionally approved blood plan. So the biggest concern is waste, right? And if we have every ALS agency in the region, storing blood, carrying, it's probably not going to get used efficiently the way it should be. So the idea is that there'll be a regionally approved plan for each region that kind of looks at, how to use blood appropriately and minimize waste.
When it started in the field and then arrives at the hospital, does the hospital continue the transfusion, or do they have protocols in place for that? How does the receiving facility do that?
That's going to be up to the individual receiving facility.
Yeah.
That's a lot of receiving facilities. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, the way they had it set up before, Dr. Rodriguez says, if you wanted to carry blood and use blood, you had to have a agreement with every single place you went to.
That will be removed.
Yeah.
And so that's what these guys did at LifeNet. It was
Right, so they'll be on the protocols, right, for, whenever it's major trauma, however it's written, right? They can initiate blood if they carry it.
Yeah.
And then when they get to the hospital, they're just gonna hand the patient off, and then, the individual trauma centers or whatever will decide whether they wanna continue it, give more blood, stop the blood, it's up to them.
Even the non-trauma centers,
Yeah.
if someone rolls in with a transfusion, the nurse's head's going to explode. Like, will we continue this? How fast?
Yeah.
Can you wait in the parking lot till that's done?
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Don't worry, but with all the holds everyone has now, by the time they actually get it'll be done.
Yeah, exactly. Good.
Oh,
You're only going to Albany Med, Albany Med, you give another unit before they
oh my goodness.
The New York City plan is basically to, it would be put back on the paramedics.
Yep.
So they're gonna station a paramedic in the emergency department to manage your patient, to bring it in, so you can go back out on a 911 call if you're a team.
Oh, for the holds?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
So it was.
They must have extra medics. Wow.
To staff the ER.
Well, I'm not sure it's the most efficient thing.
Yeah.
Well, also,
So that's why we have enough people to actually do it.
I know it.
Yeah.
well, and also, if you look at it, it goes against the regs because they're not allowed to do anything inside a hospital.
Yeah,
To
once
be
the
honest
ISA
with
finds out
you.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. We're moving right along this one,
Okay, yeah.
making very decisive things here. Okay, new business. We sent out, Mark and I sent out an advisory just because of, the entire Baxter debacle. They have their major factory on Puerto Rico that gets hit by a hurricane. They move it to North Carolina and that gets hit by a hurricane. I think they should give up making normal saline. But albeit as it said, the latest yesterday that came out is they feel they'll be to 80% production by the end of November. So that's a good sign. They still cannot give any idea of when that factory will be back up on its own two legs. But the reason why we put out the advisory is really not to just pop a line in somebody for just an IV to have. We can put saline locks in, we can, hydrate other ways. Just to share, Jamaica Hospital went totally to Gatorade, just so you know. And
IV?
Yeah, we have to use the red Gatorade.
You have to heat it up first.
It depends on the flavor.
It's gotta be the red.
Yeah, exactly.
Blue Gatorade messes up the pulse ox, so maybe I really can't.
I thought you just poured it over their head.
As well.
Exactly. I think that, we had a ton of waste we found in the hospital. So I think one of the biggest places, was the ED and the OR. And so we've really dialed that back, and so we're still doing okay over at Garnet, but I think, everybody, you should have a constant watch, because it really is something that could sneak up on you. And so we just have to be cognizant and use it appropriately. And so that was our little memo we sent out. You really want me to do that next? We have that last, I'm skipping to ALS upgrades. So we have 2 ALS upgrades this morning. We have some nice visitors in the room. Brewster Southeast EMS ALS upgrade first. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Anything you want to speak about, anything you want to bring forward? Your paperwork was in order. We pass it along, but we'd like to give you an opportunity to address the council. The Remac.
Well, no, it's just, I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to be here and, to allow us to go forth. We feel very strongly in the town of Southeast that it's all about patient care. And we're striving to provide the best possible service that we can for our residents and the people that transit our roadways. So we had started our BLS agency about a year ago, and we feel that we want to be a one-stop shop for everybody for our township. So we've asked for this ALS upgrade. We've enlisted the help of some pretty fantastic instructors and support staff. So we're looking forward to this next venture. So we appreciate the support of the Remac.
All right. Any questions from the committee? Everything was in order. We found that we'd be putting our stamp of approval. We have to vote on it though, right?
Yes.
Okay. So all those in favor of Brewster Southeast EMS going to an ALS upgrade? Okay, it's unanimous. Next up, Goshen Volunteer Ambulance Corps.
Yes, good morning. Sorry my chief operating officer is not here this morning.
That's okay.
However, I'll follow the same conversation that was just had. We're looking to provide the best possible care to our residents and the people that traverse through our areas. And it's the beginning of a long process for us, so we appreciate being here and appreciate you taking the time to look at our paperwork.
Yeah, and it's a thing where you have, a significant number of calls.
Yes, we do.
So it was, again, sometimes we don't realize the volume that you guys come across. So again, the application was in order, the paperwork appropriate and complete. So I'll ask for a motion from the committee here to allow Goshen Volunteer Ambulance Corps to upgrade to a ALS provider service. All those in favor? Okay, unanimous again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats, guys.
Town of Newburgh sent a notice to us that they'll be adding some additional ALS equipment and medications. The EMS training and medical director will be on board, bringing the new medications forward and the new skills. 1, racemic epi, 2, TXA, oral gastric tubes, and then RSI. I assume you're helping with that, Mr. Wiley over there?
Yes, we ran a course last week and it went very well. 8 individuals that went through the course successfully, so
Great.
things are going well.
And then just in terms of, we just need to make sure that we follow every single case there from the beginning, and such as we've done with all other agencies. But I think that, we're really making great strides in the Hudson Valley to bring the level of care up, and I think that it's just really important that we continue in that same fashion, and, really provide what we possibly can for our constituents. Okay, I submitted a letter of resignation. It's here. it's time for me to step down.
I think they lost it. I don't know.
Yeah, you should have heard him. I'm just gonna ignore and pretend I never read this.
What letter?
Yeah, what letter? Karen couldn't even find the notes of when I started, it was so long ago. So it was Joanne Weisbord, who was around, you guys remember Joanne Weisbord? Yeah, right. That's when I started.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's not even written documentation of it. So, I think that, I appreciate y'all putting up with me for so long and all that we've done together. It's been great. It's been a great ride, but like all things, it's time for me to take some of the things off
Get off
my
the roller
plate,
coaster.
and that's one of them. So, as of the end of the year, I will submit, and that was my resignation letter. And I hope my colleague over here is accepting the next step, but it goes to the Remsco to vote and such.
Wait, me?
I think that, these are all voted positions through the Remsco, so the Remsco will take this up. But again, thank you for your support and always being here. And really, it's tough to come to a meeting. It was a lot easier when we had those virtual ones after COVID, but then when we became in person again, it was tough. But I appreciate everybody with their support.
Dr. Murphy, we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's a historical mission I have here, because I can give you the history of what happened so long ago whenever something new comes up. But thank you, Joey. So next is, in your packet also is the calendar for the next set of meetings through 2025, and the helicopter meeting will begin right before each one of the Remac meetings, half hour before. That brings us to open forum.
Yeah, just probably what we should include it as part of the regular agenda item as a report from the Westchester Remac.
Yeah, just to have a
Yeah, just
communication
that's a
across.
slot for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't have a whole lot to report, although people are starting to pick up on the iGel project down in Westchester. So I'm really hoping that we have a few agencies that are going forth, and hopefully it'll become part of the protocol. But anyway, so thank you, Hudson Valley, even though we are the part of the Hudson Valley. But some people many years ago separated us. I'm not sure how that happened. But anyway, so we are starting on the iGel project, which I think is going to be a great addition to the BLS forces. So anyway, not much else to report. Pretty much the same issues that you all are dealing with up here.
I skipped right over that, David, under old business.
I know, and he did such a good job. The iGel project. You want to get that report? No, just.
There's actually a number of other states in the Northeast looking to our project for implementation in their states. So that's pretty good.
Maybe you can get some money out of this.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I just want to say that the project you did, which by the way, the work was tremendous, it really opened up a whole discussion statewide about data, use of data, how do we get the data, and we currently have a data integrity group working on it as a result of your efforts with the iGel. So.
And I think the other thing it did, Jeff, was to look at that these projects can bring a new level of care and, and really allowing, the BLS providers to go to the next level. When's the last time they had something added to their armamentarium? I think that was the reason why this thing took off. Really, when we first started this, we were like, okay, it's Greenville, we have this one, we have that one, and then all of a sudden, boom!
Yeah, well, the
it
interest was
exploded.
incredible.
Yeah, it went all statewide.
And as we get closer to implementing it, we're getting more and more agencies interested.
Yeah, because I get
We
the
get it
little,
every day.
the notations of them added on.
I mean, what's amazing to me about it is, and we just glossed over it quick, we mentioned it quickly, but the ROS rate is
Yeah.
better,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really better,
Yeah.
like massive. I mean,
Yeah.
like compared to the typical ROS rate.
And-
So, I mean, I'm waiting for the numbers there. You can publish something that
Right,
like,
because I think they do that, right, and then they can focus on compressions and.
yeah.
And I,
It's like a
and
national
I,
standard.
and
Yeah,
I
and
think
you have
the
decent
ease to implementation, if you look at the numbers too, was like incredible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really a great, and that's what we had found, actually, when we looked at other areas in the country that used it. And why we kinda said, no, we're going with iGel, and that's
And
what
you know,
we
there's a
use.
study, a pretty good study now about IMEPI in cardiac arrest, so, you know, you wonder if that like, you know, could that be the next thing at the BLS level, right, like in a cardiac arrest?
Interesting.
Because they already know how to do IMEPI, it's just a higher dose.
Just a higher dose, yeah. All right, anything else under open forum?
I'll
Dr.
provide
Wolf.
a very brief update. So Way Beyond EMS was approved for ALS at our last REMSCO meeting.
Yeah,
Since then, we have our state inspection finally coming up this month, and all of the paramedic spots are filled. So we are right on track.
great,
A lot of excitement about it. That's awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Really quick, we had a QA/QI at Mayapack Lake, and we were able to put an emphasis on stroke, which allowed us to not only fulfill the QA/QI requirement, but fulfill the twice-a-year stroke requirement for CME that is required. So if you're doing a QA/QI anyway, and you want to put an emphasis on stroke, you can kill two birds with one stone.
That's pretty good. That's a good way to go about it. Because the less you can do and the easier and more facilitate education, the better we are. And just have it open to everybody, you know, that people can just jump on and we have it coming up, right? We're setting up our EMS lectures now. All right, anything else?
Can I just have something that kind of dovetails with this case where RSI was performed by the medic who was regionally approved the credential, not with that agency. We went back and looked at the policy for us for Hudson Valley Repsco Remac, and the question came up this morning, and I don't think it's totally clear, or maybe there's
It's
a
not.
misunderstanding, but I think it's close, so it can only be performed by an RSI credentialed paramedic who's with the region. This is the last line, with the assistance of a HV credentialed paramedic. Does that have to be a second RSI credentialed paramedic or
No.
just a
No.
Yeah,
Hudson Valley?
that's why this was so confusing in the
Yeah.
beginning, Dr. Felice.
Used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be.
I forgot that they approved that for that policy in the last meeting.
Okay, actually, I think that's good, okay, it makes sense, okay. That was my only question.
I thought that was still pending.
It looks like that came through last month, basically.
Yeah, and we were talking about the transfer of credentials between agencies and reciprocity within the region.